Hi, this is Faith Bernard, and this is another video in the self-love series. And we're going to talk about on this video how to release fear and self-doubt and doubt in general through self-acceptance. So, the first reaction when I know I have a negative thought or a negative feeling, even more so with a feeling, is that I want to resist it. I want to push it away, whether it is tears, fear, all kinds of things. I have actually experienced, as we all have, all the myriad of emotions that come up in our day-to-day lives, and really, whatever is coming up, whether it's a fearful feeling or it's a feeling of doubt or beating yourself up for doing something that you wish you hadn't done or the way that you did it, but whatever that feeling, and it's all, there's only two things in the world, really: fear and love. That's it. Out of fear comes hatred, destruction, self-loathing, anger. All of that is in the fear camp, okay? And the love camp is self-acceptance, peace, expansion, self-awareness, tuning in to being able to see so much more because you know who you truly are. So that's, again, the two camps, fear and love. So how do we, because the tendency is that we want to make it wrong when we have a negative feeling. We want to make it wrong when we feel fear or anger or frustration, any variation on a theme. Not reluctance, but wish, like a disappointment. I guess it's another emotion that would be around the fear category, and just regret. That's the word I was looking for, regret. And all of these things are part of the fear energy, and the tendency when we have them is to either cover them up by eating. Okay, so we do that. We cover them up by eating, drinking, perhaps, maybe alcohol, other things, other substances, to cover this up because it feels so uncomfortable. It's just such a bad feeling that you want to stop having that feeling. The best thing we can do when those feelings come up is to just allow them their voice. It's like it's almost like the work that we do with our inner child, the inner child that wasn't heard, wasn't acknowledged, can really create havoc in our day-to-day lives. In some circles of thinking, the inner child is your subconscious mind. It's really, the child is a subconscious mind. And it really makes sense. And so it's through the acceptance and the love and the listening. So listening to that voice of woe, if you will, listening to that pain that comes up, whatever it is, that frustration, that regret, that pain, the fear, the anger, to listen to the message it has for us, rather than resist it through either avoidance or trying to cover up with food. Addictions really are born out of the resistance to the feelings that we're uncomfortable with. So whether it is, sex, shopping, food, I'm trying to think of all the obvious ones, and there's many, many others. Overworking, working all the time is another way to cover up your feelings. Okay, now there is value when you get into a negative, cycle, and I talked about in one of the videos, retelling yourself a new story, but that's a different process than just avoiding or covering up through substances and that kind of thing. When we retell ourselves a new story, that's coming from a very empowered place. But there is a place to hear, especially when there's emotion involved. If it's not just the story in terms of what you hear your mind saying, but the actual emotion behind it needs to be heard. As soon as you feel something come up in your body, usually for me it's in my solar plexus, it's something uncomfortable. Either stomach, it seems digestion is a big area. So whether it comes up in my stomach area or my lower abdomen, that's usually an indication that some emotion is being released from my past, from some other place in my life that has reemerged, been stimulated. Maybe because I am doing a lot of personal work, it sometimes it stimulates those things that resurface so they can clear, they can cleanse. But the first thing, our first natural tendency is to want to stuff it back down, not to feel it. And the best thing we can do is love ourselves through it and love what's coming up. So when I say love what's coming up, if I have a feeling coming up in my lower solar plexus that is really uncomfortable, and I had that happen recently actually, which is what's making me think to do this video, I started to go into my normal, self-protection, which is to, I don't want to have that thought. That's not a good thought to have. I don't like the way that feels. So I'm going to I'm going to avoid that. It's that avoidance thing. And as soon as I just recognized the feeling and said, I love you, and I just continued, I actually put my hands in that area of my body and I just said, I love you. I love you. And then the tears started to come, and then there was a release. And then that feeling that was there just naturally dissipated. Not because I was trying to avoid it, not because I was trying to make it wrong, not because I was just trying to cover it up, but not in a way that, if we're going to tell ourselves a new story, we need to acknowledge the old story first. I think this is sort of a key piece that's coming to me now. And we need to let the feelings and the emotions that are locked into our bodies and our psyches, different energy bodies, allow that up and out so that, because it's there to be heard. It may not need to be there for more than a few seconds, but it does want to be acknowledged. You don't have to dwell on it. You don't need to even know the story behind it, actually. You just need to recognize it, acknowledge it, love it, and just really, so what I did is I held myself in that part of my body and just said, I love you, I love you. And I said that over and over again, and it just, the emotions came out, and all of a sudden it just completely dissipated. It was an effortless process. It wasn't arduous. It didn't take a lot of time. And so that's really what I want to say in this particular video, is we really let go of fear, doubt, self-doubt. It's all part of the same thing. When we experience and when we have self-acceptance, and not just overall self, but whatever is coming up, that we accept that part of us that we're not comfortable with. As we accept that, then it is heard. It's released. It's truly transformed. It's like alchemy, if you will. It's transmuted. And as we transmute those emotions, which are just stored emotions and stories that get locked into our cells and other parts of our energy cells, all we're doing is releasing. One of the videos I'll do is I'll touch on EFT, and a lot of people have heard of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's where you tap on different points. We have points here, 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 and these points, again, whether it's acupressure, acupuncture, EFT, these are all methods for opening up channels, opening up the energy channels, allowing things to flow. And so when we do, whether we're reading positive books, we're doing energy work, we're positive self-talk, the thing that can happen is the opposite can show up. Well, why is the opposite showing up? Because it needs, you've stimulated, you've brought in all this positive energy, you're opening up, and you're opening up your heart, because that is really, and we should do a whole video just on the heart itself, because the heart is the real mind, if you will, and that's a whole topic. I'll have to write that one down after this video. But as you do that, anything that's the opposite of love has to make itself known, and that's actually a good thing. But then it's that self-acceptance and acceptance of that feeling, that energy, then, and loving it, loving yourself through it, loving it through it, that aspect, if you will allow it to dissipate and release and transform. And it can happen very, very quickly. It does not have to be an arduous process. I think some people are afraid to go down this road with this kind of work because they think, for one, they just don't want to feel that. But you know, the unfortunate truth is that when you don't do this work and you're not consciously engaging, this is all, you know, these trapped emotions, these things that we're not comfortable with, are running our lives unconsciously, and is having a real impact on our lives, on our health, on our prosperity, on our relationships, on our businesses. Everything is being impacted by what we're avoiding. You know, what we resist persists. That's why we have to stimulate, allow, when it comes up, love it, it will naturally release. It's just part of the way it works. With that, everyone, this is one of the videos in the self-love series and how that can also positively impact your network marketing business and, most importantly, your life in general. But this is applied to really giving you the foundation to have your life and your business take off. So with that, we'll catch you on the next video, everyone. Thanks. Talk to you soon.